In ancient times, mentoring was explained as a relationship between an adult and a more experienced adult that helps the younger individual learn to navigate in the adult world and the world of work. Just as the young animal learns from the more experienced members of the group, and the young native once learned from the older male, now in this modern business world, it is as important as it was then. The business world is full of mentors and also of younger adults looking to make their way in a highly competitive, technical, and extremely fast-paced environment. For man and beast throughout the ages, this instinctive method of coaching younger adults into the adult world has been more than a way of life. Mentoring is a way of nature.
How do mentors differ from role models and peers? As you learnt in episode 1, a mentor is an older adult helping a younger and less experienced adult to navigate his or her way in the adult world and world of work. A peer can provide support, feedback and motivation on a non-work related level, as well as helping in career and job functions. A role model, on the other hand, can be living or dead and is a person from whom we draw standards to establish our own codes and behaviours.
I've always admired my aunt. She established herself as a senior manager in the late 70s when the corporate world was still very male-dominated. Later on, she went on to run her own business and is still doing that very successfully today.
I think the person who really inspired me to get on with things in life was my father. He was a real role model to me. He battled through the recession, eventually to take over our local newspaper. There were 8 of us, and we never went hungry, and we were always happy. I thought, well, if Dad can do that during those recession years, then I should be able to really get it together in these seemingly more lucrative times.
Role models can be both bad or good. The manager who says one thing and does another, or who doesn't perform his job tasks adequately, doesn't create a very good role model.
Do you have any idea of what we're supposed to do now?
Who knows? Who cares?
Well, guys, I'm sorry the Monday morning meeting didn't have you on the edge of your seats. Well, what should we do next week, eh? Introduce brain...
Family members don't always create good role models.
As much as I hate to admit it, Dad didn't provide much of a role model. He didn't seem to care much about us kids, and poor Mum, she had a lot of difficulty coping. Dad never wanted to work and he just seemed to blame everybody else except himself.
Fortunately, Sally didn't aspire to be just like her father. But in the case of bad role models, this can often happen. Children and young adults can look to all different types to help form their identity. These can include actors, rock stars and sporting personalities.
Yeah, he plays for Sydney. Oh, he's the best, man. Love to be able to kick a ball like he can.
You should be watching the soccer, mate. Now there's a real sport.
In comparison to role models, mentors are people who nurture the development of a younger adult through life and work. Role models provide a benchmark against which individual performances can be measured. They set an example for others to follow. A good family role model can instill lasting values and attitudes. Unlike a role model, a mentor is there to give the younger adult personal guidance. Peers, on the other hand, will provide support from a mutual aspect rather than an aspirational perspective.
I used to do it that way.
What way?
That way. It's not the best way, you know.
Oh, but this is how Janet showed me to do it.
I know. But I discovered if you do it this way, it takes about 15 minutes off the whole procedure.
Beautiful. This is how I'll be doing it in the future. So what are you doing for lunch?
Up to anything exciting on the weekend?
Yeah, my friend Amy's going overseas. I'm going to the airport to see her off. Wish I was going with her.
Yeah, I really want to go to London next year. Wish I could go right now.
A little thing called money.
Right. Plus, if I quit my job right now, I don't know what it'll do to my career.
Your career?
Yes. I'd really like to get into management. You know, general manager, managing director, all the way.
Look, go for it, girl. I'm sure you'll get there. I don't know if I ever will.
Why not? You're so good at presentations and talking to people.
Even though they probably weren't aware of it, Meg and Katie were supporting each other through similarities, sharing experiences and desires. By knowing someone in a similar situation to your own, with similar desires, gives you a sense of normality and belonging.
How's it going with old Nick?
Oh, he's not a bad bloke. He kind of looks out for me. I reckon he thinks he's my old man half the time.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes, I don't know, he kind of expects too much of me.
Cracking the old whip again, mate.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be going along really well until he starts panicking and telling me we'll never get the Eastern Run done on time.
Yeah, but we always do, don't we, mate? He just loves the panic, that's all.
Yeah, I reckon. He's a good guy, though.
Here we saw a case of mutual understanding. Brett just helped Adam work out a problem through friendship, confirmation and emotional support. Each other's understanding of their jobs and generation enables them to support each other and offer feedback when difficulties arise. We all know about peer group pressure. In the workplace, this can work either negatively or positively.
Cheer about it.
But I discovered if you do it this way, it takes about 15 minutes off the whole procedure.
Within the workplace or campus, little control can be exercised over peer group pressure, and peer relationships can have a negative attribute.
Oh, hang it, I'm sick to death of teaching this subject.
Well, why don't you think about teaching something you enjoy more? You're qualified for other subjects, aren't you?
Tessa said to stick with it, that I'd get there in the end. There's been a big demand on this lately.
Competition can also hinder a beneficial relationship and can lead to one of a more destructive nature.
Sometimes I think Tessa's past it. You have to do what you enjoy.
Oh, that's all right for you to say that. You're teaching subjects that you enjoy and you're good at it. I just feel like I'm floundering.
Because peers often find it difficult to encourage one another in a like environment, peer relationships are usually most successful outside of work, where the main competitive element is minimised. Peer relationships are based on mutuality, an understanding and likeness which each person has for the other. Mentoring relationships are more complementary, where the older adult's skills and experience will help that of the younger adult.
I've got a rush, I've got a class.
Lisa has seen me as a mentor since the start of this year. I guess it's because I'm easy to talk to, or perhaps just a good friend. But I do know that just being there for her and helping her with subject information has enabled Lisa to achieve far more than she otherwise might have done.
Mentoring can often provide a controllable environment in which the novice can be nurtured.
I'm having a bit of trouble sorting out these dispatches for the Eastern Run. I can never seem to get it right.
Give us a look, mate. We don't want the boss coming in and finding things unfinished.
Adam admires Nick and takes his advice because, in a way, Nick is an older version of himself. Peer relationships by nature are more common in organisations than mentoring relationships. Peer relationships can sometimes last a lifetime, whereas a mentoring relationship is usually over once the protégé has moved on or advanced in career.
That was a year ago when Anna started showing me the ropes. I always call her my mentor, but I don't see that much of her now. She was promoted to sales manager of a store closer to her home, and I'm now the sales supervisor here.
A mentor offers protection and nurturing.
Robin, hi. Have you got a second?
Sure, Meg, what is it? Come in, take a seat.
A role model is someone we aspire to be like. A peer is someone with whom we have a mutual understanding.
Oh, hang it, I'm sick to death of teaching this subject.
Well, why don't you think about teaching something you enjoy more? You're qualified for other subjects.
Sometimes it's possible to find all three in one relationship.
I really look up to Meg. I guess she's a bit of a role model for me. The way she really gets on with things and wants to go a long way in her career. I wish I had her drive.
She encourages me to get on with things and gives me little hints on how to do things better. I'm really glad I have her as a friend.
Let's break down what Katie was saying.
I really look up to Meg. I guess she's a bit of a role model for me. The way she really gets on with things and wants to go a long way in her career. I wish I had her drive.
Here Katie is saying how she aspires to be like Meg.
She encourages me to get on with things and gives me little hints on how to do things better.
Here she's looking at Meg more from an encouragement point of view, seeking guidance from someone a little older and more experienced than she.
I'm really glad I have her as a friend.
And finally, she regards Meg as her friend. Eventually, the role model will fade. The protégé will no longer need the mentor, but peer relationships can last forever. What is the better type of relationship to encourage in your organisation? Peer relationships are uncontrollable.
Cheer about it.
Yay! Role models can often be destructive, just as they can be constructive.
Dad never wanted to work and he just seemed to blame everybody else except himself.
Mentor relationships are more reliable, especially when the relationship grows from something which is encouraged within the organisation, and that's something we'll be addressing in episode 3. What did we learn in episode 2? A mentor is an older adult helping a younger and less experienced adult to navigate his or her way in the adult world and world of work. A peer can provide support, feedback and motivation on a non-work related level, as well as helping in career and job functions. A role model is a person from whom we draw standards to establish our own codes and behaviours.
I've always admired my aunt. She established herself as a senior manager in the late 70s when the corporate world was still very male-dominated.
Role models can be both good.
I think the person who really inspired me to get on with things in life was my father. He was a real role model to me.
Or bad.
As much as I hate to admit it, Dad didn't really provide much of a role model.
Peer relationships can also be negative.
Sometimes I think Tessa's past it. You have to do what you enjoy.
Oh, that's all right for you to say that. You're teaching subjects that you enjoy and you're good at it. I just feel like I'm floundering.
Competition is another thing that can hinder a beneficial peer relationship.
I just wanted to let you know that the faculty is most likely going to be calling for applications this month.
Oh, thanks for letting me know, Brian. I'll definitely give it some thought. But wouldn't I be competing with you?
Peer relationships are based on mutuality, whereas mentor relationships are more complementary. Mentoring often provides a controllable environment in which the novice can be nurtured.
I'm having a few problems at home.
Come into the office, mate. Let's have a chat.
A mentor can offer guidance.
You're the one who did it, really. I've just coached you along the way, given you a few hints.
A role model is a benchmark from whom we draw standards, and a peer represents a mutual understanding.
Oh, it's not so bad. I'll have his job one day.
A mentor is an adult helping a younger adult achieve the success they're seeking. Just as they have done so for generations that have gone before us, mentoring is and always will be a way of nature.